Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Maria Marcano, and I am the Burnout Repair Coach. In this segment, I aim to support all of you busy career individuals to prevent or reverse the physical, mental, and oftentimes emotional damage that comes from career burnout. The idea is that the information and practical tips I share can support you so you can reclaim your energy, your vitality, your mental focus, and finally learn to create sustainable success. That is, succeeding without breaking your body or your relationships in the process. Today, we're going to talk about a little silent enemy of many people that actually lead us into burning out. I say silent because some of us are completely unaware of it, although others know that it's there, but they kind of take it for granted and they don't think that they can change it. And there's even some people that wear this enemy as a badge of honor, which actually becomes very dangerous because it will drive most individuals right into overdrive and then burning out. So you might be wondering, what is the silent enemy? Is perfectionism. Perfectionism, actually, I remember years back, it used to be kind of a good thing, perhaps, that you would say when you were in a job interview. Well, when they would tell you what are your weaknesses, and you say, well, I'm kind of a perfectionist. And that, I think, is when this whole thing of wearing perfectionism as a badge of honor began. The truth is that it's not something to really be too proud of. I'm not saying that you are not to go for high standards and you are not supposed to try to do the best you can. But the reality is that perfection cannot happen in all areas of your life. And that is what I define as a perfectionist problem. That means that sometimes people can do really well and might not be perfect, but near perfect in a couple areas of your life, maybe one or two. But the other areas are not going to be perfect. When you are aiming for perfect in all areas of your life, you feel frustrated and you push too hard. Oftentimes, none of the areas end up being perfect. You end up tired, frustrated, and feeling like a failure. So you have to understand that, yes, by focusing in one area and trying to get the best of whatever that area requires from you or from the environment, you can get very good results, but you have to also accept that perfect cannot happen everywhere at all times, specifically at the same time. So let's talk about this hidden parts of you that are pointing to the fact that you have a perfectionism problem. Because you might be saying right now, well, I really am not a perfectionist. I'm okay. I don't push that hard. I don't expect perfection out of everything. But it's not that black or white. It's not that clear. It actually is kind of an insidious little mechanism that it tends to be very unconscious for most of us. So let's practice awareness as we often do here. Notice these areas and these behaviors and check to see if perfectionism is running the show. One very common one is your sleep. Check with your sleep. Notice if when you go to bed at night, you are unable to stop going through all the things that you did and you didn't do. Notice if you lay in bed at night and you start going through all of the things that you did and you start criticizing or kind of reviewing where you did it wrong, or actually what most people do is what things really didn't get done. And so then that takes you into time travel into the following day, trying to plan in a perfect way how you're now going to accomplish what didn't get done that day plus what is supposed to happen the next day. That, my friend, is perfectionism on the subconscious level, at the subconscious level, running the show. and stealing your rest and your sleep from you. You probably didn't think so, but that's exactly what's happening. Another one is, and you again, all of these are kind of not so clear for most of us. Well, another one is thinking about yourself and comparing yourself to others. So every time that you start comparing yourself to others, we tend to assume that they have a better life, an easier life, more money, better health, more happiness. We tend to address the other as better than us. And then what that does is that it starts the critical chatter to happen inside of us, right? And we start pointing at our faults compared to others. And we tend to choose the subjects of our comparison in a very unrealistic way. So these are famous people. These are people that we see in maybe already, succeeding in our career, like icons in our profession. It could actually be maybe some fitness, perfection, or other type of perfect people that are portrayed out there. And then you need to understand that there's a lot of the backstory that you don't know, a lot that they went through that you didn't get to see. They didn't just become this person overnight. So it makes no sense for you to compare. And that part of you that wants to compare is the part of you that's trying to find perfect somewhere, so you can then judge where you are based on that perfect idea. So that's another way where perfectionism is running unconscious in your life. Another one is how critical you are of others. Notice how you tend to focus on the things that people do wrong. Notice how often you point out at where they fall short of a goal, where they made a mistake, where they could improve. Sometimes we even obsess over tiny little things that annoy us of other people, and we just cannot let them go. That is perfectionism, but not projecting perfectionism on other people. And this is very damaging for our relationships, either personal relationships or professional relationships, because no one wants this person that's always pointing out our flaws. And even if you don't express them verbally, believe me, they can tell when you are judging them consistently, because the way you behave does not show appreciation, and they never hear from you, good job, I really like how you did this, or some type of encouragement, focusing on what they did right. So again, that's perfectionism in the background running the show. Can you see how it's very subdued? It's not necessarily black or white, like I said to you. And then the last one I want to point out is when you have trouble giving yourself permission to rest or to celebrate. I actually had clients that find it difficult for them just to sit and relax because this perfectionism in them won't let them. And what doesn't let them rest or celebrate is the idea that there's still too much incomplete. Too many things are incomplete. Too many projects that are not done. I call it too many boxes open. So what do? Okay, I'm just gonna clean and straighten out the kitchen. I cannot be sitting here when the kitchen's not perfect. Or I should go and do this other errand, or I should get started on this other project, or I should go and clean this up, or I should. So you are this shoulda, coulda, woulda running the show that makes you feel guilty when you want to rest or celebrate. So if you experience that guilt, and one common one is mommy guilt. So mommy guilt is very common. It's just like you could be doing something else to be the best mother in the world. But this can translate to all areas of your life. If you had trouble and you feel guilty when you give yourself a treat, when you rest, when you relax, and then you keep thinking of what you could or should be doing, that's perfectionism. And then the area of celebration, what I would like to bring up is that we only give ourselves permission to celebrate when the project is done, when the goal is complete in the way that we want it to get done and complete. That's the other one. We we make exceptions. Only if this happens, then will I give myself this massage, this trip, this, dinner at this nice restaurant, or buy myself something. So you do not celebrate the small accomplishments. You're always fixating in the end goal. And for that reason, you don't enjoy the journey and burn out. So how can you solve these issues? How can you address when perfectionism is running the show in the background? Well, the first part is what we just did. Just run all of these areas, all of these activities or ways of thinking or behaving through your consciousness and acknowledge where this is happening. Acknowledge it without feeling guilty, without feeling like you are wrong, that you're a bad person. It's just the awareness of it is what will allow you to catch it and then redirect when you see it or feel it or notice it. So now you have some awareness, but there's also some more proactive things that you can do. One of them seems very simple, but I love it, and it's called keeping a win journal. A journal of your wins, of things that are going good, or little progress. And every day write down the things that you accomplish, however little. It might be that you folded the clothes and you put them away after doing laundry. Anything counts. It might be that someone was very appreciative and say thank you for an advice that you gave. It might be that actually you woke up early enough to have something to eat that morning. It could be anything. You have to train your brain to focus on the accomplishments, however small they are. Maybe you made a progress and made a phone call towards a deal that you're working on. The deal's not closed, but you made a phone call. So all of these little steps, if you train yourself, you have to write them down. It's not like a mental exercise. This is literally a journaling exercise, because the process of bringing it to the consciousness is not enough. If you put it on paper, you can see it. It becomes more real. And the exercise of actual writing it slows down the brain and it makes it focus on that thing and that thing only, which is what? Your wins. So that's a really great practice that you can start applying to let go of perfectionism. Another one that I like to suggest is that when you have setbacks or mistakes or things that you will call failure, always ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is the lesson behind this? So when you look for the good, when you look for the lesson, when you look for the teaching behind your mistakes, then two things will happen. One, the mistake kind of loses its importance. It's not as heavy and as negative for you. But the second thing is because you learn from it and you actively ask yourself, what is the lesson here? What could I do differently next time that I'm in this situation? Will prevent you from making that mistake again. So remember, there really isn't failure. The only way we fail is if we do not use those mistakes or failure in order to learn. Every time you fail or make a mistake and then catch the lesson, you're actually moving forward, because chances are you're not going to make the very same mistake again. So always ask yourself, when instead of beating yourself up for making a mistake, for missing, the mark, or for failing in something that you're doing, just going immediately into, okay, this happened. What can I learn from this? What is the lesson here? Now that I know how it all happened, if I had to do it again, what would I change? And then remember that, so when you are in similar situations, that doesn't happen. So in reality, there are no mistakes or failures. But you have to be very intentional about asking that question. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is I started with a win journal, right? So that's focusing on what's good. But I want to take it further. And I want you to think about scheduling weekly celebratory moments. They don't have to be complicated. Maybe it's a bubble bath. Maybe it's going and purchasing, a treat, that's something that you really enjoy for dinner. It might be just having a little lazy night in where you're watching a movie. It might be giving yourself a treat like a massage or some other treatment that you like. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be something that really is accessible on a weekly basis. And you're going to do it and give yourself that prize, that reward, with the awareness that you're celebrating those things that were in the list. So celebrate the small wins. Just look at the journey and don't focus so much on the end of the journey, because in reality, a goal or a high standard is just a benchmark for you to know the direction you're going. It doesn't have to look exactly the way that you plan it. If you obsess over the details and how everything's going to go and how it's going to look at the end, you might miss the opportunity to actually have a more pleasurable journey and a better outcome. Because as you go through the process, more information will become available and you actually end up doing better. But you have to give yourself permission to celebrate. It can be, like I said, very simple. It's go out to dinner with the family. It could be just taking a stroll out in the park. Whatever really fills your heart with joy, that is not complicated, because obviously we don't want to make this a big production. We're busy, I understand. I prefer there's something that you do at home or that you can do, very simple with simple commute, nothing really far away from you. So it can happen regularly. Celebrate all the time. Just maybe even share. Oh my God, I'm so excited this week. Share with the people that you love. I accomplished this, and that. Just the saying it aloud is a form of celebration. So remember, notice when perfectionism is stealing joy from your life, it's actually killing your energy because you're focusing on the negative, and how is affecting your relationships and your progress. And as you catch it, take these steps so that unconscious thing is not running the show and you're stepping into the driver's seat and choosing to live your life from more joy, acceptance, and as a student. I hope this is helpful. Remember, you do not have to burn out. There are ways to change your life so you can be successful without breaking your body or your relationships in the process. And for more information and support around this, please follow me on my social media. You can find me as My Wellness. That's My Wellness. And in those areas, you can probably get more tips so you can stay proactive, stay in tune, and make decisions to improve your life. Thank you, and see you soon.